one of the most underrated fighters. Both of them are probably one of the most underrated fighters in the sport. Casimero is going to fight Rigondeaux in August, and it's not too long away, about 3 weeks away. This particular fight is going to happen. Now, it was a bit of a weird situation. Rigondeaux versus Casimero was originally signed to happen. Then all of a sudden, Rigondeaux gets replaced by Nonito Donaire. Then all of a sudden, Nonito Donaire gets replaced by Rigondeaux. And now, hopefully, no more changes are made and this particular fight actually happens. It's an interesting fight because I think Casimero, for my money, is one of the most underrated world champions in boxing at this point. He's a 3-time world champion in 3 different weight classes, but a lot of people don't give him a lot of recognition, and there's a lot of reasons why. I think because he's a lower weight class fighter. On top of that, he just doesn't have the name or profile of an Inoue. He's not like a vicious puncher like Inoue is, and he's one of them fighters that's just for whatever reason is underrated. If you look at his actual resume, he's beaten Charlie Edwards, who became a WBC champion. He beat Zolana Tete, who at one point was seen as this vicious puncher. He absolutely outclassed Charlie Edwards, and in terms of the Tete fight, I think he knocked him out in the first round. So Casimero is as good as you possibly can get as a 3-time world champion, but he just does not get as much recognition as he deserves. One fight that I really wanted to see happen was a fight between him and Inoue. Here you have 2 3-time world champions in 3 different weight classes going at it with each other, and I think Casimero had a very good chance of beating him. And if he gets past Rigondeaux, that fight could potentially happen. But there's a part of me that just wants Rigondeaux to actually win this particular fight, and the reason is because I feel like the boxing establishment has been screwing over Rigondeaux for years. For years, this guy's been overlooked, treated badly, not been given fights, and nobody wants to fight him. And I think if you can get a win over Casimero, as much as I like Casimero, it would make me feel happy for Rigondeaux if you could get a win over Casimero. Now obviously, like, this fight's going to happen in 2 weeks, and we're going to see what's going to happen between them two, and I do hope he gets his opportunity, and once he gets his win, that will be great. But obviously it's up to him to get that particular position and make things happen the way it does. So yeah, I think this is one of the most underrated fights in boxing, and it involves one of the most underrated fighters, which is obviously Casimero, one of the most underappreciated fighters. And on top of that, it also involves one of the most screwed over fighters in Rigondeaux. Ever since his win over Donaire, Bob Arum's has screwed over Rigondeaux, never gave him the opportunity he deserves. None of the fighters like Carl Frampton and other fighters like that wanted to fight him, so for years he was avoided. I mean, the guy just cannot catch a break. So if he can get a win over Casimero, and obviously he had his fight against Lomachenko, which he quit in, and now that's what he's brandished at as by all boxing fans. They just see him as a quitter, but he never got the opportunity to take the big fights when they were available to him because nobody wanted to fight him at the time. And it's just life. There's certain fighters that are just not appreciated until their time is over, and I think he is past his prime at this point. But I think if Rigondeaux can get a win over Casimero, that would be incredible. At such a late stage in his game, to get a win over someone like Casimero would be interesting. But if Casimero gets a win over Rigondeaux, I'm looking forward to that as well, because obviously that means that he's going to get a fight against Inoue next, or whoever Inoue fights next, because that's the fight that was originally scheduled to happen before COVID hit. So yeah, that's my opinion on this particular fight. It's a fight that I'm looking forward to. In terms of how I think Casimero is just a younger fighter who's more hungry, and I feel like he's got a lot of energy going his way, but Rigondeaux might just be able to old man him and might be able to beat him technically by just outpointing him like he did against Donaire all them years ago. Ironically, Casimero is Filipino, just like Donaire is, so there might be a few similarities going into this fight to the Donaire fight. And if Rigondeaux can get a win over Casimero, it would put him back into title contention and back into the into the thoughts of boxing fans, because Casimero is seen as a legitimate fighter. If Casimero can get a win over Rigondeaux, then his next fight may be a fight against Inoue, or he might get a fight against Donaire for a huge fight. So yeah, that's my thoughts. What's your thoughts? Who do you think is going to win when these two fight in 3 weeks time? I think Casimero going to win, but I'm kind of hoping that Rigondeaux pulls off the upset and somehow wins this particular fight, because it'd be great for him to see him win another title and get back into title contention and get another big fight and a big payday before his career is over. But yeah, that's my opinion. Like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.